Frid och shalom vänner och välkomna till en uppdatering. Vi som har följt oss en längre tid vet ju att vi har varnat för just det här. Tony Blair han var ju inne på våra nyheter här för ett tag sedan, för han vill ha fram ett digitalt ID som ska gälla hela världen. Och nu så har Vatikanen och påven stigit fram, för man vill ha en AI-bibel, men inte kanske som du tror, utan nästan något på att säga ännu värre. Och det ska James Caddis här få ta upp. Det blir bara ett klipp idag. Håll till godo med det här. Är påven den falske profeten? Mycket tyder på det.
Bible. We're not talking about a Bible that is artificial intelligence. What we're talking about is, in essence, what the Vatican calls a Bible to govern how AI is used. And folks, I'm going to tell you this. If the Vatican announced that they were making a Bible from AI, it may not be as bad as the story that we're talking about here, because the story that we're talking about here is, in essence, a sign-off on how to use AI in order to manipulate people, specifically within the context of religious constructs. And this is a very important issue to be discussing, especially when we approach the world of the final Antichrist. I have been saying this a lot. I think Pope Francis will make a great false prophet. And this is crazy to say, but my goodness, the things that he is doing right now is all about the mission to globalize. It's all about the mission of the new world order that everybody seems to be talking about. And he wants to put his stamp of approval on a world that literally forsakes the true and living God. And it's an amazing thing to see happening. Now, AI in and of itself has already presented a series of problems, many of which surround the issue of morals and ethics. And a lot of people are using AI in ways that God never intended for any of that stuff to be used. God gave us intelligence for a reason, and a lot of the tools that are being used right now from within the AI world, some may be very positive, but many of them are really, really, really bad. And the things that people are doing are continuing to push the envelope in manipulating the minds and the hearts of people. Now, I want to say this, full disclosure. If you're listening to me right now speaking in a different language other than the English language, you are hearing the effects of a lot of hard work on my part, but as well, a lot of hard work that involves some AI, okay? It can be used for very, very, very good reasons. But the reality of it is it's going to a darker and darker and darker place. And unfortunately, the things that are beginning to manifest, the things that are beginning to show up in the artificial intelligence world are, quite frankly, very scary if you don't know the Lord. Very scary if you're not walking with the Lord. But because we do know the Lord, because we are walking with the Lord, so much of what we're seeing falls within what the Bible predicts is going to happen. So let me read this to you. This is incredible. This is an article that starts off by saying this. By the way, I believe this is on MSN.com. As a matter of fact, I know it is. Look what it says. Pope Francis and the Vatican just created an AI Bible reshaping faith in the digital age. Sounds like a good title, but it's actually quite scary when you think about it. Let me read this to you. It says, in an unexpected development that continues to reverberate around the world, the Vatican has signaled its determination to be an influential voice in the rapidly advancing field of artificial intelligence. Now, if that's the only thing that I read, then I would say you could fill in the blanks. You could say the church is doing this. You could say that people who love God are doing this, and it might not necessarily be a bad thing to read. But when you start looking at the publication of this document and what they hope this document is going to end up doing, you realize very quickly that it is the on-ramp into what I call the New World Order. And it's so crazy to see this happening and being manifested the way we understand it to be. But folks, the world is getting darker and we shouldn't be surprised. The article goes on to say a new partnership has resulted in the publication of a handbook on ethics of AI developed under the direction of Pope Francis himself, marking a significant stride in the dialogue surrounding AI societal impacts. The Pope's involvement in AI ethics comes as a consequence of a collaboration with Santa Clara University's Markula Center for Applied Ethics. Together, they have created the Institute of Technology, Ethics, and Culture, ITEC is the abbreviation for it, a body aiming to mediate ethical concerns and in the technological realm. Oh, sounds good so far, but wait, it's about to show its ugly face. The article goes on to say the first significant output of this organization is an enlightening publication titled Ethics in the Age of Disruptive Technologies, an Operational Roadmap. Again, sounds so crazy when you think about where it's going to go. Look at what the article goes on to say. The document outlines ethical guidelines for the tech industry as they navigate the tumultuous waters of AI, machine learning, encryption, tracking, and more. The intersection of the Vatican, an age-old institution representing spiritual values, and AI, a recent technological marvel, might seem incongruous. However, Father Brendan McGuire, the pastor of St. Simon Parish in Los Altos, an advisor to iTech, explains that the Vatican's initiative marks the fulfillment of a long-standing interest within the church. The Vatican's unique position and influence can muster essential figures to deliberate on these crucial matters. Now, all of that sounds like fluff, blah, 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 blah to me, until you get to this section of the article. Watch this. It says, in a recent interview, Father Brendan said, and here's the quote, "The Pope has always had a broad view of the world and of humanity, and he believes that technology is fundamentally a good thing. But as technology advances, we reach a juncture where we must address deeper philosophical questions." He continues to say this is his quote, "Technology executives from all over Silicon Valley have been coming to me for years and saying, you need to help us. There's a lot on the horizon and we aren't prepared." The notion was to leverage the Vatican's convening power to bring together executives from across the globe. In other words, what we're seeking to do is we are looking for a way to do what? We are looking forward to a way to usher in the world of globalism. And that is exactly what's going on. Folks, when you look at this document, this handbook of AI, so much of what it says in this handbook is related to the goal that the Pope has in wanting to bring in or usher in the world of universalism. And this is something that's really important to understand, because when you look at the world that is coming, the one of this Antichrist that we keep talking about, the one thing that you have to understand is this Antichrist that the Jews will mistakenly view as their actual Messiah is not going to be their Messiah. But in order to convince them that they are, or that he is their Messiah, there's going to have to be a lot of deception. And when you read Bible passages like Daniel chapter 11, verse 37, which of course is talking about the Antichrist, look what he says concerning this character. He says, "Neither shall he regard the God of his fathers, nor the desire of women, nor regard any God, for he shall magnify himself above all." Now, a lot of people, when they read the phrase, nor the desire of women, it has nothing to do with the fact that he's going to be a homosexual. But what it is talking about is the fact that he will be a secularist. He will be the type of person that does not believe in God. He's not a religious man. He literally chooses to deny everything that is God, so much so that when the devil possesses him and brings him to the place where he chooses to sit in the temple and demands to be worshiped, he himself will choose to become God. He will, in essence, replace the true and living God in his own mind. That's what the spirit of Antichrist means. That's what the word Antichrist means. Antichrist means instead of. So he is going to pretend to be something that he is not. He is going to pretend to be the Messiah. And when he sets himself up to do so, he's not going to make a convincing case unless he has somebody that helps him to make that convincing case. And that is where we get into the book of Revelation chapter 13. This is so important. It goes on to say, this is heavy. "And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spoke as a dragon, and he exerciseth all power of the first before him, and causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed." This is talking about this false prophet who in essence is going to be also very powerful. And he's going to manipulate all types of things and technologies and all kinds of things in order to gain the acceptance and to hypnotically bring people into worshiping this Antichrist, who's a God hater, who's in essence a people hater. And the only thing that he loves is himself. Look what it goes on to say about this false prophet. This is pretty heavy. Watch this. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on earth in the sight of men, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast which had the wound by a sword and did live. So he is in essence going to be the religious leaders that brings, or the religious leader that brings religious followers into believing the fact that this Antichrist is actually Christ himself, is the Messiah. He's going to do it by all these signs and wonders. And I'm guessing he's probably using a lot of AI at this point, which is why this story about the Vatican and AI should not surprise you. And it certainly doesn't surprise me. Look what it goes on to say. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast shall both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. In other words, he's not only going to convince people to worship the beast, to worship the Antichrist, he's going to create an infrastructure using a whole conglomerate of tools that will be the tool by which, or will be the symbol by which people will gather around to worship. I think AI may very well be a part of this. I think, and folks, I'm going to just tell you this right now. I think there's going to be so many aspects of this that are going to be overwhelming that most people won't even know it hit them when it comes their way. And then, of course, we know what the Antichrist is going to do. Look what it says in verse 16. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. So this guy who's going to be the false prophet is going to carry himself under the auspice of religion. He's going to be a respected religious leader, but what he is going to do is he is going to further the agenda of the Antichrist. And it's going to come off with, can't we all just get along? All roads lead to God. It's going to sound, this guy is going to sound a whole lot like the Pope is sounding right now. And he is going to begin to bring in a very religious bent and an ideal that centers around the issues of technology that we're facing. And he is going to use all of those tools to gather people around to, in essence, create the infrastructure necessary in order to not only deceive people into worshiping the Antichrist, but in many cases forcing them. And I'm going to tell you, because before, when we used to talk about this, we used to study all this stuff, we used to read up on it. One of the most difficult issues that I had with all of this has always centered around, how in the world are we going to make this happen? Like, how in the world are you going to be able to force anybody to worship the Antichrist when everybody knows it's taboo? I mean, the moment they see 666, they're going to have all these goosebumps on the back of their neck. It's going to be so dark and evil. No one's going to want to do it. Yet right now, because of the fear of death, we have people lining up to put stuff in their system that they don't even know what it is. And that's the crazy part about it. The fear of death is a very powerful fear. It's something that controls a lot of people's minds and hearts, and people are willing to throw away their lives in order to save it, not realizing that they're bringing themselves into a destiny of eternal fire. And folks, what this guy is going to do, and again, I'm not saying that the Pope is the false prophet, but I'm certainly saying that what he's doing right now is he is feeding into the world that the false prophet has to create in order to force people to worship the Antichrist.